Good morning, Gate fam. Coming to you with the 40-day generosity challenge, and I hope you're getting something from this. I hope it's blessing you in some way. It's just a way to connect with others, just to give you some words of encouragement, like Pastor Jay does during the week. He's preached on connecting and just connecting with others, in any way that we can. And we hope that's what we're doing here. When we do these things, it's nothing amazingly profound that we're saying. It's just from the Bible, right? It's anything that you can pick up and read for yourself. But, like I said, it's just a way to connect with each other. And if you see me out in the world, not through the video, say what's up to me. But today I got for you the parable of the rich fool. Kind of in the title, right? Rich fool. So it's Luke 12, 13, 21. Jesus often spoke in parables, and first of all, this is Jesus talking, right? We really want to lean in when Jesus is saying something. We read the Bible and we see when it's printed in red, we know that Jesus is speaking, and we really want to lean in. This is the guy we're following, right? This is the guy we're chasing after. We want everything to be Christ-centered, so especially when he's talking, we lean in and try to understand and get the message from that, right? So, like I said, Jesus often spoke in parables, and I think he did this for several reasons. And we can ask why he spoke in parables. It's not a dumb question. Even the disciples asked Jesus, why do you speak in parables? And I think there are several reasons that he did this, but one of them, I think he did it to mess with the Pharisees. That's just me. Jesus was really cool. He always did these cool things. He always kind of flipped it on the person whenever they came at him and asked him a question. And we know that the Pharisees came at him often. And I think he gave them parables to you know what, you're always coming at me. Why don't you think on this? Why don't you go somewhere, leave me alone and think on this? Maybe you could try to figure it out. But we know that a lot of analytical people, a lot of people that try to analyze every part of Scripture, they miss the message, right? And I'll give you an example. A nursery rhyme. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Right? It's a little nursery rhyme for kids. I think the message is, if you break things, maybe sometimes they can't be put back together. Right? But if you start to analyze it, well, actually in the 18th century, Humpty Dumpty was like a slang word for a short, clumsy person. So it was like, hey, the message is don't be short and clumsy, for one. But second, maybe if you got to be careful with things, because if you break them, maybe they can't be put back together. Right? But you start to analyze the text in the nursery rhyme. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. What were the horses doing? Really, what were the horses doing to put Humpty Dumpty back together again? I understand the king's men, but what were the king's horses doing to try to put Humpty? Anyway, if you try to analyze the text, you might miss the message. So that's the parable of the rich fool that Jesus is saying. He gives this parable, and Jesus said, sometimes it's hard for scholars to understand mystery. So he would give this parable, and I believe also that he would speak in parables because it was also to gauge your understanding of the message. And he said, if you have ears to hear, you'll understand. So it was kind of like, and he kind of knew who was going to get it and take the message and who was not, right? He knew the Pharisees wouldn't understand it, but he knew who would. So that's why he kind of spoke in these parables. And I won't read the verse for you. It's Luke 12, 13, 21. But the message is, don't store up your riches here on earth, because they don't go with you, right? You can't take them with you. In the parable, the man has a bunch of grain. He's getting more. He can't fit it in his barn, so he builds bigger ones to store it all up. He gets all of them full, and then he dies. And then what good it was everything that he worked for here on this earth when it meant nothing in the end, right? So I recently had a friend that lost somebody very close to them, and if anyone's ever lost someone, you understand that there's things to be taken care of after that person is gone. Estate sales, house sales. Well, this person, other than a few keepsakes, they sold everything. They sold off whatever they had, the house, and in the end, that's not what that person's life was about, not the material things. It was about the love they shared. It was about the relationships they built. It was about the time they spent with each other. It was about the love of Christ, right? Living for Christ. It wasn't about the house. It wasn't about the cars. It wasn't about the jewelry. It wasn't about any of that. And I think that, it puts things in perspective, and that's the message. And I understand you want nice things for your family. You got to live a certain way. I get that part. But don't spend all of your time chasing after the material things. Rich fool, right? It's right in the title, Parable of the Rich Fool. So don't miss the message, right? It's not about material things. It's not about an abundance of possessions. It's about abounding in the love of Christ and the love of God, to have that relationship with the Lord. If you are blessed with material things, like I said, I get it. We work, we want nice things. If you are blessed in material things, don't set your heart on those material things. Set your heart on having that relationship with Christ, having that relationship with the Lord, and having that relationship with others. Set your heart on loving others, and set your heart on building relationships with your family, friends, and loved ones. If I see you in the streets, say hello. That's the message. Don't try to analyze it too much. Read the parable, read what Jesus said, and don't miss the message. I love you guys. I'll see you around.